Welcome, kayak anglers. You are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax. Let's do this.
Chasing the 20-inchers Susquehanna River podcast is proudly partnered with these great companies. Railblazer, think outside the tackle box. Achigan brand, the official brand for smallmouth bass. Kayak cushion for them long days on the water. Ken's Jigs, need a custom jig? Don't look any further. Thanks for watching, and welcome to the show. Could this be the 20? I don't know. Hey, Sean.
Hey, Carlisle. What's up, man?
Looks like you're in Hawaii over there.
I am in Bethany Beach, Delaware.
Nice.
So it's I was hoping to do this from the balcony of my beach house, but it is friggin' cold down here. It's like 63 degrees and windy and rainy. So
yeah, that sounds like our spring so far.
It's supposed to get a little nicer later in the week, but just have to deal with a day or two of not the greatest weather, but
yeah. Well, welcome everybody to Chasing the 20-inchers, the Susquehanna River podcast, and happy Father's Day to every father out there. We have a special guest on tonight, and he's also a father, so this is going to be like a Father's Day special of Chasing the 20-inchers. First thing we're going to do is get into the river levels of the Susquehanna River. We do 4 sections every podcast, and we'll get into that right away, starting with Harrisburg. So Harrisburg right now is sitting at 6 foot 10 inches, and it looks like it's starting to rise up again. This whole spring, it's been crazy. The river levels have been going up and down and up and down. I don't think we've had a low river this spring yet, have we, Sean?
No. I mean, when you and I were out, Carlisle and I hit Wrightsville just
on
Friday, and I was surprised. Like the water clarity it wasn't chocolate milk, but it was definitely not a lot of depth to the clarity at all. So
yeah, and I was slinging a black and blue chatterbait, and we caught a few. We caught some decent ones.
Did okay.
So next we'll go to Lewisburg. That's the West Branch, and they're sitting at 5.69 feet. And geez, look at that graph. It almost looks like a heartbeat. I was going to say,
look at the fluctuation. That's crazy.
Yeah. Right before we came on, I was talking to Jody a little bit, and he said he likes it at 11 foot, the river level. That's his favorite level to fish. And I imagine because the fish just set up so good at that stage.
Yeah, it puts them in super predictable spots, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Next we have Towanda. That's the North Branch. Doesn't look too bad up there. They're sitting at 3.13 feet.
And it looks like they're dropping back down to normal.
Yeah, it's kind of getting back to normal up there. And then one more, we got the Marietta. And the Marietta is sitting at 38.83 feet. And it looks like they might be starting to climb back up again. So there you have the river levels, brought to you by Railblazer. Think outside the tackle box.
And the next part of our show that we always do is we like to highlight some of the catches from our listeners that you guys send in. So we'll kick that off with John DeVal. He showing off a nice smallie there. Thank you, John, for sending that in.
Yep. And then we have Jake Hausman. And I got to talk to him about this fish. and he's on the river a lot. He's a local in Harrisburg, and he gets a lot of time to get out on the river, and he's been seeing a lot of fish like this. He said this fish right here was 20.5 inches, and it was just beat to all hell.
Yeah, man, that looks like it's been through some stuff and has some stories to tell.
Yeah, he was telling me that he's been seeing some fish kills going on up there, in the tributaries and all on the Susquehanna River. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. He's the first person that I've talked to about it, but I hope that's not the case.
I hope so too. That'd be a shame.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip over the next one and jump to our very own Carla Esterly with a nice one from our trip out. So
yeah, that was Friday. That was believe it or not, I caught that on a peanut butter and jelly Ned rig behind the bridge pilings. So it amazes me how them fish can find that little Ned rig in that stained water.
Oh yeah, especially when they're not finding the chatterbait as much, and yet they can still somehow find an Ned rig. But it is what it is. It definitely worked for you.
Yeah, and then last but not least, our very own Sean Lavery, and that was from our trip on Friday too, wasn't it, Sean?
Yep.
Yeah. We didn't get a lot of submissions this week, and I'm thinking it's just because all the fathers were busy today with their families and whatnot. And we're really appreciative of Jody coming on today and finding the time after he just got back from a tournament up in Ohio, I think it was. And we'll talk to him about that when we get him in here. So yeah, we have a tournament coming up this Saturday on the Juniana, and I was looking at the river levels up there, and it's pretty high up there right now too. It's sitting like 7 foot.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that, it is supposed to rain this week a little bit, and I'm hoping that it's just real light rain. It doesn't do anything, and hopefully up north it's not going to rain as much, so we can have our tournament Saturday and not be canceled.
Yeah. I mean, you did pretty good in that tournament last year, same time around this time, right?
Yeah, I pulled a third place off, so I was happy about that. And
that's
this
what I thought.
Your tournament coming up, so
yeah,
the payout should be a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, without further ado, you want to bring our guest on, Sean?
Absolutely. Everybody, welcome to the Chasing the 20s, Mr. Jody Queen. Thanks for coming on, Jody.
Hey, guys. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy Father's Day, Jody.
Hey, same to you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So you want to introduce yourself? I know a lot of people know you, but introduce yourself, where you're from, when you started kayak fishing and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, my name's Jody Queen. I'm from southern West Virginia, a little county called Wayne County. I'm living in Bluefield, West Virginia right now. And I've been fishing rivers all my life. I practically, grew up in the latter part of my life on the New, and I fished about 275 miles of the New. And I fell in love with smallmouth fishing at an early age. We didn't have a whole lot of smallmouth where I grew up, and so catching one was a rarity. And then, so you can imagine what it felt like to, hit a river like the New or the Greenbrier or the James River. And then eventually I made my way up to the Susky about 10 years ago, and just fell in love with it. And I fish tournaments all over the United States. That's my main source of revenue. I've already been to Texas once this year or twice. I can't remember. I'm going back to Texas, Toledo Bend at the end of the year for bass, and got a TKS coming up on the Susky next month. I'm looking forward to get up there, and a KAS, of course, the weekend before that, and the Power Hour. All July is going to be big for the Susky. So
yeah.
I'd like to ask everybody to get out and support that, because there's going to be a lot of fun happening up there in those 2 weeks.
We were a little bit worried this year when Hobie passed on, or didn't make it out, and then Bass didn't have a Susky event, so we were starting to get a little worried that the people were moving away. But then I think that left some openings for some other trails.
Yeah, that's exactly what it did. It just created a void there, and in this business, I always say nature abhors a vacuum.
Yep,
it's going to get filled, with something. But TKS was just coming around. They were putting their schedule together, and Gene Jensen, I'm sure you've heard of him. He called me and was asking
we had
me
him on
about
the show.
Yeah, he was asking me about a northern swing, and I told him, I said, as far as I know, nobody's having one on the Susky this year. This might be a good year for you to, have a tournament with good numbers. And so they got that done, and then after that, we learned that Drew was going to be there, and of course, we always know the Power Hour is going to be on the Susky. So
yeah,
so that month just filled in great, and it just created a lot of opportunities for everybody to get on the river for that time in July.
Yeah, that Power Hour in KAS is going to be a huge payout.
Yeah.
Somebody double dips in that and wins. Oh my goodness.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
It's
the
going to be
potential,
huge.
just the potential for earnings from the Power Hour is going to be huge.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll probably get the required amount to make that happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We always do.
Yep.
We always do. So I mean, I know some people already that are they're not even fishing any tournaments. They've been practicing all spring and coming up here summer just for those tournaments, trying to keep tabs on where these big fish are going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they like to move.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I was gonna say it might be a little early to be practicing because they're going to move a long way probably between now and then. But
yeah, for sure. Well, I know Jake Hausman. He's one of them that said he was only fishing those tournaments. He's not fishing anything else or anything like that. So he's a big stick up here on the Susquehanna River.
Yeah, I think I've met Jake once.
Yeah.
Fair.
So Jody, who got you into fishing? Was it your dad that got you into fishing?
No, it was my grandmother.
Wow.
Your grandmother. Wow.
Yeah. When I was little, 5, 6, 7 years old, we lived on a really small creek, and my grandmother, I don't know if you guys have ever seen them or not, but they used to have these white cans with blue lettering, and they're called 50 assorted hooks, and they were all usually like little small hooks, and she would cut we had a hazelnut bush out next to the toilet. I grew up in I'm country as a turnip green, but she would cut a rod out of that, a fishing pole out of that, and we would go down to the creek and we would catch horny heads and suckers and stuff like that. And she's the one that created my big interest in it. And later on, there were parts of that small creek down to where it ran into a tributary of the Ohio that had some small catfish and small bass, and every now and then I get a chance to go down there when I was little, and that really just, catching those bigger fish just really
That's an awesome story.
But my dad, when I was young, I can remember going through. We used to wade fish everywhere, and my dad, I would get on his back and he would wade through the holes. I was that small because I couldn't. It was over my head, but I'd get on his back and he'd just take me through the holes. So yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. But the river is my favorite place to fish. It took me a while to learn a little bit about the lakes. I didn't really start fishing heavy in the lakes until I started doing this kayak fishing for a living. So I'm
total opposite of that. I started fishing lakes, and then when I got into the kayak, I started fishing lakes first, and then I had the balls one day to go out on the Susky with my XI3 mounted on the front of it, and I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah.
I mean, I still fish lakes, when the river's blown out, and if we have tournaments on lakes and stuff like that, or just to change things up every once in a while. But the river's where my heart's at. I love smallmouth.
I do too. Nothing like them.
So the story behind our show, I never did get a chance to tell you this, Jody. So I have a YouTube channel, and I wanted to keep the channel fresh throughout the winter. So I talked to Sean, and I know Sean had hosted a podcast before called Fishing with Noobs, right, Sean?
Bass Fishing for Noobs, yep.
Bass
we had
Fishing
Jody
for
on
Noobs.
back in the day. It was a long time ago. But
a while back.
So I knew there was a void to be filled for the Susquehanna River, and I talked to Sean about it, and we decided, you know what, let's start a podcast about the Susquehanna River. And the reason for the name Chasing the 20s is because I have been fishing the river now for about 5 years, and I've yet to catch a 20-inch smallmouth. So I've been so close. I have 19 and 3/4, 19 and a half, 4-pound fish, but I still am yet to break that 20-inch mark. So we are hoping that the Power Hour and all the tournaments that are coming up in the next couple months here, that happens. That would be great.
That's going to give you your chance right there.
Yep.
Yeah, they're in there. The Susky, I think they grow wide instead of long.
There's some fish with British, definitely.
Yeah, I mean they're like this instead of like this.
I love it when they like barely, they overlap the edges of your catch board.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I caught a 15-inch fish up there that weighed 3 pounds and 2 ounces one time.
Oh, I believe it.
And it was just like my buddy. He was like, "Man, you got to weigh that fish." He said, "That's an anomaly."
Probably looked like a flounder.
Yeah, but those fish are in there. I mean, they're in. They kind of get certain places in the Susky are known for them, and you kind of got to go there. You'll pick up a straggler here and there, but there's certain places in the Susky that you go for to target those fish. So,
yeah, I believe I've had a couple hooked already, but I never got to land them.
Yeah, I mean the smallmouth down here where I'm at are the river smallmouth. They don't have that Erie gene in them, and they tend to be more like torpedoes. They grow longer. I mean, we got some wide ones down here that grow wide like that, but nothing like up there and there. I mean, there's a lot more 20-inchers down here. I know there's one stretch, a 2-mile stretch of the new down here that's on fire this year that's produced 155 citations.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I don't think PA does citation 20-inchers anymore. I think they stopped that.
The PA was 19, wasn't it?
Yeah. Before.
Was it?
Yeah, it was 19 inches.
Okay.
Before, I don't know what it is now, but
I thought I got 2 patches and I thought they were both for 20, but maybe I just submitted 20s and they could have been 19s.
Right. I at one time I thought they were 19. If I'm not mistaken about that, but here in Virginia it's 20, and then James River has some good 20-inchers in it. You can catch a good one out there. The biggest fish that's come out of the new, I think we had a 23, and then we had a 23 and 3/4.
I was going to ask what your PB was.
My PB out of the new is 22 and a half.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
It weighed 6 pounds and 12 ounces.
Nice.
Now, was that during a tournament or no?
No, that was before I even started kayak fishing. Yeah, I was in I had a little old boat that had a little 9.9 on the back of it, and I sat in a below Hawks Nest Dam, a little town called Gawley Bridge down there. It's the very end of the new river, right before it becomes the Kanawha River.
Okay.
And, there's a pool there above the falls, and just happened to be in there at the right time, the right place. Dropped in on her.
That's awesome. So, talking about that, when did you start, and what got you into the kayak? So,
man, I was always a wade fisherman. Me and my buddies. I mean, there's a group of me and my buddies. We used to go up every August. For the past 30 years, every year in August we go somewhere and fish, but it's usually always on the new. At some point, we stayed in North Carolina. We stayed in Independence, Virginia, on down through Virginia there, and we would put in miles, and of course we always wade upstream, and we ain't young anymore, but so it's hard to do that. But about 10 years ago, Virginia had a program where the game wardens were actually coming down in these little wilderness tarpon 120s and checking people's licenses and checking bag limits and stuff like that. And I was wade fishing one day, and the year that they had that program, I got checked 3 times. But each time, I mean, I could see them coming, and I knew who they were because you didn't hardly ever see anything other than a recreational kayak usually on the new at that time. And they were coming down through there, and I just got to talking to them. I was like, man, this is what I need. I can cover way more water, and I'm not going to be beat all the crap, after a day out fishing. So I bought a kayak, and it just, about 3-4 months later, Timmy Dixon down here at New River Adventures, he had a spring fling tournament, and that was my first tournament. And from there, I was hooked. First tournament killed me. I won that tournament with like 93 inches, I think, and then I just couldn't put it down after that. I went home that night, told my wife, I said, I'm going to do this for a living somehow.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
It took me a couple of years, and I got some good breaks, and met some of the right people, and kind of barely supplemented my income, and I hit a couple championships that I won, and that helped too, and that set me up.
That's awesome. That's a great story. So what back then you were doing like floats, right? They didn't have motors like they do now.
No, the motors didn't come on scene till probably 2 or 3 years after I started there. And I remember seeing my first motor, and I was like, I hate it, but I love it,
Yeah.
And then because the first year I fished the KBF, I paddled. Everybody else had motors at that time, but I paddled a 140, Wilderness 140, and made the 10. And at the 10, I got enough money there, and then I met Jeff Little actually on the Susky, and he's like, man, he said, I'd like to have you on the team, and that was probably 7 years ago.
Yeah,
something like
and
that.
You run a Torpedo, right?
I do, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What a difference now with these motors, what you can do with the
it opens up a whole new world. Yeah.
It's huge for especially river fishing.
Yeah, so when we were talking earlier before the show came on, I told you I liked the river when it was high, and there's no way to fish that river like I like to fish it. You're just going to float through. Yeah, you're going to float through, and you're not going to get anything. But with a Torpedo, you can pull up on these holes, and you can set your throttle, and you can hold and still fish these holes. You're still trying to find, slack water in those conditions. You're fishing edges and stuff below islands. You're fishing, just the tips of the grass beds are usually sticking out. And man, those are great spinnerbait and chatterbait times, and topwater too. When you get around those grass beds, when that water's high, they love those grass beds. Love them. They'll get right in the middle of them sometimes, and you'll catch a 20-incher in about 6 inches of water. But it's
that's what I'm hoping for.
I don't think I ever thought to try topwater. I just figured it would blow by too quick, but
no, I'll tell you, I'll show you. Actually, I got one right here. This is and everybody thinks I'm crazy. Not so much anymore, but when I first started throwing these, this is the 130 Whopper Plopper.
I think I have one of those.
Yeah, and I think this is probably, if not the biggest 20-inch catcher that I've ever used, it's one of pretty close to it. The bait is so big, and it's kind of hard to use in the river. You got to have the right equipment. I recommend fluorocarbon, and the thing about fluorocarbon, not braid is what you probably should be using, but I started out using fluorocarbon, and the problem with fluorocarbon is it sinks. So when you're in the river and you're in that current, you're trying to keep the loop out of your line between you and the bait up out of the water constantly, and then it's trying to sink on you. So you're fighting a battle there. On these super clear rivers, though, I just got to kind of work your way around it. I don't use braid on them, but braid is probably the way to go with these. Because you're fighting that current a lot, and that braid don't have no stretch. So you want a rod tip with a little bit of a softer tip, but a big backbone, to play on. I always change the hooks on my ploppers. I put the Mustad triple grips on there. They seem to hook up ratio because they love throwing them. And the Chopos come along on the scene here in the last little bit, and I've been throwing those Chopos too, and they work really well also.
Yeah,
So
I've had luck with the Chopos.
The thing I didn't like about the 130 is it gets smacked around so much it'll hook the fish in the side, and it can damage the fish a lot. So, if they're hitting them really hard like that, a lot of times you can throw a buzz bait or something and they'll still hit. But if they're keying on that bait, I'll use it pretty much all the time.
The thing with the whopper plopper and the Chapo is, in the Susquehanna especially, is like later in the summer you get a lot of that floating grass, and
that grass,
it drives you nuts.
That's usually when I go with a single hook top water, like a buzz bait, or I've been throwing those goat toads, those Z-Man goat toads around the grass and stuff up there, and they actually do pretty good too. I was surprised. Those smallmouth liking those frogs like that, but there's frogs in the Susky too. They'll eat about anything. They're opportunistic, so they're gonna.
Oh, they'll eat anything.
Yeah, but
I was out on the river last year the one day, and it was in the springtime, and there was baby ducks swimming around, and there was a guy on the bank in between me. In between me and the guy on the bank, and I'm out on my kayak. There was a guy fishing, and he must have spooked the one baby duck, and it came flying out straight at me, and just like that, it was gone. I don't know if it was a muskie. I don't know if it was a smallmouth. I never got to see it. I just knew that something came up and just tore that poor little thing apart.
Yeah, so something about those baby ducks. Those muskie love them.
Yeah.
But a smallmouth, they'll hit them too. When those big smallmouth, they get hungry, they'll eat just about anything. I was on the river one time. Me and the buddy was we were waiting, and we kept hearing this squeaking noise, and we couldn't figure out what it was. And about that time, the little baby duck, I don't know why it was separated from its mother, but it swam in between us, and it was squeaking. And I swear it sounded just like a buzzbait. I looked at him. I said, "Well, now I know why a squeaking buzzbait does better than that, because they think, But it was really weird how much alike they sounded. So that was pretty cool. The other big 20-inch plus fish catcher for me is the Evo. Of course, the jackhammer too. I mean, you can use the jackhammer. This is the tungsten. I really, really like the tungsten. Does it catch more? Maybe in certain situations it might. Like if you're dealing with stained water or something like that, it might catch a little bit more. But just the regular Evo also works well, and the jackhammer. If they're not hitting one or the other, then they just ain't hitting them usually for me. But I like the Evos because the blade colors. They have a lot of different blade colors.
Yeah, they do.
And it's, for some reason, smallmouth seem to have an affinity for yellow and copper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever noticed that or not, but they love those colors. And these actually have a copper blade on them. So I've been using these a lot and catching some really nice fish. And I usually pair it with now this is a red bone, I think. This is a Z-Man diesel minnow.
Okay.
But they make other things that you can put on the back of them. You can put, they make one called a minnows, which is a little bit smaller, and it's got a little fatter tail on it. The diesel minnows are a little bit longer, and they got a little thinner tail, so you're getting a little kick out of that tail a little bit different at different times. The thinner baits are going to get you down a little deeper, and the ones with the bigger boot tails on them are going to keep you higher in the water column. It's just according to whatever you're experiencing on that day, what you want to throw. But the diesel minnow pretty much covers it all. And cooler times, cooler water and stuff like that, I'll throw on a razor shad that doesn't have a boot tail on it, just got a little kicking tail. I seem to do a little better when the water's a little bit cooler.
Have you ever tried
the chatter spike and doing pretty good with that?
Yes, I was going to mention that. Actually, I got some over there. But the chatter spike, I've been using those since, they came out last year, I think, or year before last. And the chatter spikes, they seem to work really good at times when the bite's a little tougher. The fish are a little bit, more wary. And And I throw it. Sometimes I'll go down, and that just reminds me, they come out with that baby jack. I'm really excited to use them this year in chick in November. We're going to go down in November and fish chick. So that's going to be interesting because it seems like when I go way down at the end of the year on chick, it's tough, man. Chick be really tough.
It's beat up.
It's beat all to pieces, and those fish have seen everything. And the last time I was down there, I noticed that the chatter spike did a little bit better than the other. There's a little bit, less confrontational to them, I guess. But the chatter shads, have you seen those?
I was going to say, I thought they had a newer one newer than the chatter spike.
They do, and I'm really impressed with those because the razor shads are a thick-bodied swim bait. They have a real thick body on them, and if you don't get those pinned right, it's going to affect the way your bait runs. And big beefy baits like that seem to do better south, but the chatter shads I've been using up here in the rivers up here, they seem to do a little bit better than the chatter, the razor shad. Yeah.
Have you ever tried the jerk shad on the back of a chatterbait?
Yes.
Scented jerk shad.
Yeah. The jerk shads. Yeah, they do well too. I mean, it's just according to what you get used to throwing. These baits have the chatter shads. They have a beefy enough body where the hook's not, really tearing your baits up, and the fish aren't tearing them up. And if you're catching multiple fish during the day, they hold up well.
Yeah, it looks like they're a little more slimmer than
they are.
So there's the chatter shad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And see the segmented tail here, the way the tail is formed straight off the body. Half of that bait right there is actually just action. It's all action when it comes off the body. And the water displacement for that thin of a bait is huge. It's big. It has a lot of disturbance coming through the water. That's
now
why
what
I really like them.
they have that's a 3.5 inch. Do they make a bigger one too? 4 point something?
Yeah, 4.5.
Yeah.
4.5.
Yeah, they make the 4.5, which is what I use. The 3.5s work well on like the micros, or not the micros, but the mini max.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I love Z-Man just because you don't have to change your plastics all the time.
Yeah, I mean, once you get used to, using them after a while and figuring out what you got to do to get them on straight, and you're not tearing them up trying to get them in. I mean, dude, for me, I'm just about exclusively Z-Man anymore. They make something for everything,
Yeah, that's one of your sponsors, isn't it? Z-Man.
They are, but the stuff that they seem to pay attention to what's going on. I mean, when they call and ask us anglers, how can we improve this? What do we need to do here? When they came up with, once it got to where they were allowed to make their own their baits, they weren't tied to Evergreen International so heavily that they couldn't put their own stuff out. They came out with the Evo, and that, I mean, they already had the technology to do it. And what's his name? Is it Jose or Juan? I can't remember his name, that does the research. But yeah, I knew when those things came out, they were going to flood the market and be every bit as good as the regular jackhammer. And they did some improvements on them when they called us anglers and said, what can we do? These have a single keeper on them, so they don't tear your baits up so bad. They have a little bit bigger hook in them. What else? There's a couple other things I can't think of right now, but they're just a little bit different than the jackhammers. So they act a little bit different. They got a little different sound than the jackhammers. They all work on the same principle.
Yeah.
They want to they vibrate and make noise,
But it's a different pitch. That's what
it is.
I've been hearing a lot, especially the difference between the baby jack, the Evo, and the jackhammer. There's 3 different pitches, so you could run you can run behind somebody with
Absolutely. And I've done
catch fish.
And I have been on the testing end of these things and heard what they sound like coming through the water. And some of them, like the Evo, they have a faster vibration. The jackhammers might have a heavier thump to them.
Yeah.
The baby jacks and the mini max, they have that real fast vibration.
Yep.
It's faster than all, and they all sound different. Different blade sizes, different head sizes, different head materials. Like the tungsten sounds different than the lead. There's just so much that goes in to making these things. The research that goes behind them to get the different sounds and the way they act. And you just have to use them and find out. We'll talk to somebody that has used them. But there are some of them that they consistently produce fish. When I was on Abby Abundanza and I were down at the at Caddo last year. It was in one area. We caught him and I together, and we were fishing the same areas, just rotating through trees and stuff. We caught almost 400 inches in 2 days.
Wow.
For that tournament. Wow. And it was all on the jackhammer.
Wow.
And you would move through, they move in and out. They'd move up on a tree, you catch one, you sit there and throw, wouldn't catch nothing, go fish other trees, come back 20 minutes later, and there'd be a 5-pounder on that tree. So they were coming up this channel, and they would peel out of this channel. They were probably staging there. I've seen it happen before. And then they would move up on the trees to feed. And if it's a timing thing. If you're there at the right time, you're catching a 5 or 6 pounder. I mean, I can't tell you how many we caught over 5 pounds during that tournament, that 2-day tournament.
That would have been really good for the power hour, 400 inches.
Oh yeah.
All right.
But
well, we're gonna
thoughts on the Susky dude with the chatterbait. I mean, they love that chatterbait.
Yeah, they do. We're gonna take a 30-second commercial. We'll be right back, guys. All right, welcome back, everyone, to Chasing the 20 Inchers. We have the Father's Day special edition with Jody Queen here. Right before the break, we were talking about chatterbaits and trailers and whatnot, different chatterbaits that Z-Man makes. Jody, do you ever throw crankbaits on the river?
I do, yeah. They quit making my favorite one, which was the live targets. The live target crawdads. Man, I love those things. They're little square bills. They run 2 to 4 feet. And man, they were perfect. I actually still have some of them, but I won't use them because I don't know why. I just can't bring myself to lose them, I guess. But,
you don't want to lose them, yeah.
But those work really well. And, the smaller square bills, anything in a crawdad pattern, I've just about used them all. But once I started catching the bigger fish off of those other baits, I just don't hardly pick them up anymore since I started fishing chatterbaits. And it's probably bad. I should probably go back and fish them. But my catch ratio went way up with a single hook, and I've lost so many of them jumping. This past tournament, I was fishing Alum Creek in North Columbus up here, and I know 3 in a row that were over 17 inches on a crankbait. Yeah, and they just come up, they jump 2 feet, and they just throw the bait. And if I would have changed the hooks on it, it probably would have had a better outcome. But I didn't figure out the bite until late, so I was stuck with stock hooks on the crankbait I was using. Spro makes probably my favorite crankbait, and that's the rock crawler.
I was just going to say the rock. I was going to be my guess.
Man, those things. Have you used them?
I have used them, yes.
Man, I love them. So if I do throw a crankbait, it's usually that's what I'm throwing.
Yeah. What rod and reel setup do you use for your chatterbaits?
Well, my chatterbaits is the rod that Corey Dreyer and I designed for casting rods. It's the chattergrass, the chattergrass rod, and they just did.
I was going to say, I thought you had a hand in that one.
Yeah, they sent a prototype to us, and one of many. I mean, it took us like 2 years almost to get that rod into production because, you know, they sent Corey and I, and we knew Corey and I are both huge chatterbait fishermen, and we just knew what a rod needed to be that ultimate chatterbait rod. And it took 2 years, and finally we come out with the chattergrass rod, and you know, the guys at Cashin said, "What should we call it?" And I was like, "It's chattergrass because we were constantly in grass, and that's what the rod was built for." And it wasn't made for, you know, when the chattergrass first came out, it had nothing to do with like just doing along rocks or open water, or it was made for grass because the tip was made to where it would load up fast, get into the background and rip your bait free. So it really reduced the amount of wasted cast that you had when you were hooking up in grass with a softer rod and you yank, and then you're reeling in grass.
Yep.
Cut that in half by making that rod with a load up quick and have a hard backbone to jerk that bait free from the grass. So you wasn't wasting, you're doing 1,500 casts a day. You're not wasting all that energy just yanking grass off. So,
Right.
So it worked out really well. I mean, nothing against the glass rods. They still have their purpose for chatterbaits. But when you're fishing hydrilla and eelgrass and that heavy stuff and it's thick, you want something that's going to pop that bait free. And that's usually when your strikes come on anyway. So that rod is built for that. It's a 7'4", medium heavy fast. Any rod in that category, you know, 7'3", 7'4". I like the 7'4s and most other rods also because they have just a little softer tip on them if they're a little bit longer like that usually. And so that gives you a little extra action for play. But yeah, anything 7'4", 7'3", medium heavy fast. For the reels, I like to use an 8-to-1 or an 8-to-3, 8.3 to 1. I know that sounds really fast, but
When you're fishing rivers, it's
I
not.
burn them. I burn those baits, man. It's rare that you'll see me slow down and try to get one deep. If I'm going to get one deep, I'm going to throw a heavier chatterbait and burn it too.
I was going to ask you a little bit about that, about just what you're like. I've heard of people having success yo-yoing them, or
I have too personally. Yeah.
Okay, and I was curious. You just kind of change it up and see what's working, or you start with burning and then go
I usually start out burning it all the time. I mean, I'm usually, I'm not cranking it so fast that the bait's blowing out or anything like that, but I've got a good steady hard reel with an 8-to-1 reel, and if that's not working, I'll stutter my reels sometimes, reel it fast, kill it sometimes. Matter of fact, I was catching fish the other day on a chatterbait. They wouldn't hit it, just burn it. But every time I stutter it or stop it and kill it and then pick the reel back up, they'd hit it. So you got to experiment with that. Caddo is a prime example of that. Those big bass down there, they can get a little finicky sometimes too. And I was down there and, I'd get it in the tops of the grass and pop it out, and I wasn't getting the strikes. And then when I was reeling it back, I started just kind of hopping it across the top of that grass, and just pick up yo-yo, pick up and down, and reel a little bit and just switching it up. And that's the key. Sometimes those little differences mean a lot.
Yep.
The color selection, I mean, I found that usually if they're nipping at your trailers, it's usually a color thing. If they're smacking at the bait and not getting it, the hook in their mouths, it's usually some sort of like a color variation. So if you experience that, try different colors.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time they'll crush it.
That's what MD kayak angler was saying. love to hear everyone's go-tos for the high muddy water. Upper Potomac has been muddy for a while now. Yeah. I was down there last weekend for a tournament, and it was my first time down there. And that river's cool. It's like a mini Susquehanna River.
Yeah.
I caught a bunch of fish, but I just couldn't get on. I couldn't get on the big ones. But
I'm sure
I was
in there.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that won had 100 inches. So.
Oh, really?
They're in there.
Are they largemouth or smallmouth or?
Smallmouth.
All smallmouth. Wow.
Yeah, smallmouth.
I've always wanted to fish the upper part of the Potomac. I never have.
It's you'd like it, Jody. If you like the Susquehanna, you'd like that. Yeah, for
Really?
sure. So high muddy water. I was throwing a black crankbait and I was catching them. I caught my biggest fish was 17 3/4. And then after I broke the bill off of that crankbait, I went to a little a swim bait.
Oh no.
I think it was a swim bait. Yeah, it was shoot, I can't remember, but I was just trying to match the hatch because I seen fish blowing up, and I was catching 12 and 14 inches all day. I must have caught 40 of them. So
yeah, I mean, and high muddy water down here and on the Susky, I love a spinnerbait. I'll take a regular either the Z-Man or a War Eagle, and I keep a pack of 4.5 or 5 Colorado blades and change it out real big blades. And I'll usually put a banded black and brown skirt or a solid black, and I will use that. And they can see that and hear it. But a lot of that big blade, what you're doing is you're dropping around logs and just letting it flutter down before you pick up your reel. And a lot of times you'll get that hit on that fall. And if you don't, when you bring it over the log, they've already been alerted. And when it comes across the log and you kill it, they'll hit it then. So you're really getting them 2 chances at a good strike right there. And so I love dropping them around logs and rocks and stuff when the water's high and muddy like that. But a spinnerbait you can't hardly beat. A black spinnerbait. You couldn't get one, but now you can get one from Z-Man. They make one that's the blackjack. I used to order mine from Japan before Z-Man started making them. And a black spinnerbait with a purple demon colored trailer and muddy water works really well.
Do you usually go heavier with your spinnerbaits in that case if it's flowing pretty good, or are you like?
No, because I'm usually relying on that flutter when it falls. Okay. So I'll throw a 5/16 War Eagle or a 3/8 ounce. I usually don't go heavier than a 3/8 ounce because I'm not fishing out there in the current. I'm usually fishing along the banks, along lay downs. If I'm in the current at all, I'm still fishing the lower side of a big something that's impeding the flow. So you're still fishing calm water, and if you're fishing grass beds, you're fishing the current seams, and you're fishing the calm water behind them. So I really don't go heavier in weight because of the water flow. Just for the fact that I like that slow fluttering fall when I throw over those logs and stuff. And, so it works really well down here. It works on the Susky too. But,
it's not the first time we've heard that. We had a lot of our guests come on and talk about the Colorado blades in dirty water, and sometimes I forget who it was, but they were telling us that they even go heavier and just drag that thing on the bottom, and they find it.
Yeah. The more noise you're making, busting it off of rocks and stuff like that. But as well as I do that those fish like to pull up against stuff when the water gets muddy. I mean, where they're going. They just need something to orient themselves. And that when that lateral line kicks in, they don't have to see it. So,
absolutely.
So busting it off those logs, dropping it in around them, letting that flutter down, works really well for me.
Yeah. What about you, Sean? High muddy water. What are you going for?
Probably start with a black and blue chatterbait. That's been my kind of go-to. And changed up from there. I remember Juan Brute was singing the praises of a black spinnerbait with even black blades or dark colored blades, and had a lot of luck just pulling those over ledges and letting them drop, just like Jody was saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go, MD kayak angler. Got a lot to choose from for high muddy water situation. Get out there and see what works for you. Yeah. So, Jody, we really appreciate you coming on for this episode. You know, it's being Father's Day, and we know everybody's busy on that day, and we appreciate you coming on and talking about, you know, the chatterbait and everything else. And how did you guys make out in that tournament? You said you just got back from a tournament. Was that in Ohio?
Abby and I, we entered the team part, and we took 7th place.
KAS, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. KAS, it's growing. We had a really good turnout that time, and I'm just, you know, Abby and I, we're trying to go to everyone and support Drew. There's only a couple we haven't been to this year, but it's just a different format. Very interesting. I mean, it's the kind of thing you can go and make a mini vacation out of it, because you have a lot of like this last one where they were in a museum. They had the Museum of Art there, and they rented the old theaters to do our awards. And it's one thing that's really cool about it is on Fridays, Thursday you have your check-in, and it's usually at a place where they serve food, and they have a truck there, or it's usually a restaurant. We had it at Mary Stewart, or is it Mary Stewart? Yeah, Mary Stewart's Brewery in Springfield this time. And they had a food truck outside, and then they had a stage there. And sometimes we have live music, but it was very relaxed. And you meet everybody on Thursday night, and then Saturday they usually have or on Friday, I'm sorry, they usually have a Bass U brunch where you can go and learn some fishing techniques from guys from Bass University. It's just really neat, man. And then you got the rest of the day to go back and do your rigging and change your line or whatever. And then at 3 o'clock, you get on the water. You can fish from 3 to 8 and try to get a start on your Saturday. And then Saturday is a full day. So it's very laid back. It's very relaxed, and it's different. You know, you don't feel like you're scrambling for time all the time.
Yeah.
So
I agree. What I like about it most is probably, I would say 85 to 90% of the people that fish the tournament go to the awards.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of
and you know as well as we know, even with our local trails here,
right?
Our awards is only usually the people that are in the top 3 and a couple other people. So you don't really get the camaraderie like you do with Drew's event, the KAS, and also the Power Hour event. I noticed that they always have a lot of people at their award ceremonies, and to me that's a big deal. Like, the award ceremony is so cool. Even if you don't win nothing, go to cheer on the winners.
Right.
That's what I love about it so much. When a lot of people show up and you get that camaraderie, and that's what KAS is all about.
Yeah, I get it. I know that, some of these guys who are like me on the road all the time, I get it that you're tired and you got to get back on the road and get home, and you're limited time. You got to go back to work. You got to do
right.
But usually if you go, you'll be glad you went, because you get to see those people. You get to hear how they caught them. You get to know. And a lot of times they'll tell you where they caught them, and just being able to sieve through that type of information is going to help you on the next tournament.
Yeah, huge. That's huge.
Yeah, if you're hearing from the top guys that are winning these tournaments, are always placing well or are always consistent, it's going to help you.
Absolutely.
So it's good if you've got all that information there. You can go up and talk to them. We're all accessible. before the war started, we're gathered around, we're out in the parking lots, we're in the room, and anybody can come up and talk to any one of those guys, and they will take the time, 99% of the time, to stop and talk to you and tell you things, answer your questions. That's one thing about the kayak brotherhood that we really like is the accessibility of the anglers. So, it's worth your while to go, not just to support the anglers, but it's worth your while. It can pay off in dividends with the information that you can gather and, find out about sponsors or what's new coming out, or because, a lot of those anglers, they have a line on products that are coming out or in testing, or, there's just a lot of fun information that you can figure out at those things. So you get back there, and support that, get back to the award ceremony.
Absolutely. I couldn't think of a better way to say it. If anyone, we have about 17 people on. If anyone has any questions before we close this down for Jody, leave them in the comments section and we'll ask them. We'll give them about 5 more minutes on here, and if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them on there and we'll ask them for you.
So Jody, what do you have coming up now as far as tournaments moving forward?
Well, I'm going to go to next week. I'm leaving for Nickajack for the TKS, which is another new series this year. I think that is one of my favorite formats, is the team format. I didn't know how well I was going to like it at first, but if you pick a good partner, Abby and I, of course, fish the team format in the TKS all the time. And it gives you a chance to do a team of the year. You have the longest bag of the year, longest amount of inches, and the prizes are great. But the strategies are so different, and we're still figuring them all out. But it's really fun to take a look at something and do something differently, because you're actually there with a partner and you have to be able to fish differently. It's pretty neat. So I'm looking forward to that one again. Right now we're sitting in first rank, the team of the year, and we need this one. We could put it away with this, and if we get a win, that one's coming up. And then after that, of course, will be Drew Gregory's KS at Franklin, PA up there.
Yep.
That one in the Power Hour, I'll be there. And then the following week is another TKS. And then after that, at the end of July, I'm headed to Vermont, to Champlain for the Bass Masters up there. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, we got a question here. What trailer would you recommend for the Jackhammer Golden Shiner chatterbait?
Man, my favorite trailer for that is the I think it's Golden Boy. Hang on, I'll show you.
All right.
Thanks for that question. That was a good question. Golden Shiner was one of the first baits that Carlisle recommended to me. I still remember the very first time I ran into him on the river. He gave me that little tidbit.
Yeah,
man. Down south, that Gold Shiner is money. But this is my favorite trailer for him. This is the Gold Rush. The Gold Rush.
Oh,
Gold Rush.
yeah.
Hard to keep it from. This is in a diesel minnow.
The Z-Man diesel minnow. And what's the color called? Gold Rush.
Gold Rush.
Oh, I never seen that color before.
So it's perfect for tea-colored water, for one thing.
Yeah.
And
that matches up perfect with the Golden Shiner.
And for some reason, water like the river waters like the Susquehanna, they like them up there when it gets a little stained.
Yeah.
Throw that color in there.
Awesome.
But down south, this color is money. So that's one of my favorites for the Gold Shiner.
There you go. He gives you the thumbs up there. I've been throwing that diesel minnow. I use the black. I don't know what the name of the color, but it's black with blue flake on it. And I've been throwing that on the back of my Baby Jack black and blue chatterbait.
Right.
That thing.
I've heard people like the Purple Demon too, though. I've heard that a couple times.
Purple Demon, man. I love it.
Yeah.
That Purple Demon's good. Good on that black.
Well, we're just about an hour in. We don't want to keep you on here too much longer. Sean, did you have anything for Jody before we let him get out of here?
No, Jody, I was just going to say, I wanted to give you a chance to shout out your sponsors if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A couple sponsors that I picked up this year. Bubba Fishing, man. They make great pliers and tools, and they're known for their knives. But we've got a new net and a new board coming out at ICAST that you guys should probably look for, because they float, and they don't like just float with the handle sticking out. They actually, the whole thing floats.
Wow.
Nice.
And that's a really great net. It's lightweight. But and the board that we've come out with has just been approved by all the major trails right now, so they're approved to be used in those. But they'll be coming out after ICAST for everybody to see. Striker clothing and outdoor apparel, man, dude, I've been looking forever for a rain suit that actually keeps you dry, and Striker makes them. Give them a check out. The Striker shirts, Striker hats. They do real well. I'm really impressed with them. And Gamma Line, I just picked them up. So far, their line has been money, man. I have had fish in the worst possible situations around dock poles and everything else, and that line has actually held up really, really well. We'll see what the rest of the year brings with them, but right now I'm really super impressed with the Gamma line.
I've heard a lot of good things about Gamma.
Mm-hmm. It's strong, dude. It's usually twice of whatever they say it is on the package. I mean, it's twice as strong as that. But I want to talk a little bit about Torpedo. Torpedo has the new motor out. It's the Adventure Series Ultralight 1104. Man, that motor it's lighter than the 1103 and way more efficient. I can get a lot of mileage out of that motor, and it's actually more powerful. Got more.
Is that the travel or the? What'd you say? The Adventure?
Well, it's they were coining the phrase Adventure Series, but it's like the travel.
The travel. Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
Yeah, that motor is man, I can't believe the efficiency. Now the batteries are a lot bigger. I was kind of worried about that to begin with, because you know how we are in kayaks, man. We like to have everything in a tidy spot. But I actually been standing mine up against my black pack, and it seems to be doing okay there. When I'm in my XTR, I keep them both. I keep two batteries under my seat. That boat has plenty of room, so if you're in a smaller kayak, you can keep one in the hatch if you want two motors. But one motor, you can just lean it up against your black pack. They work well with, you don't have to worry about. They don't have to lay flat to work well. You don't have to worry about it. But that motor is really, really cool. I really like that motor. Hobie eyewear, of course, Z-Man. Everybody knows I love my Z-Man stuff. But let's see MillerTech batteries. These guys are out of Pennsylvania, guys. I'm telling you, they're the best batteries I've ever used. I've been with a lot of different battery companies, and I've used a lot of different batteries, and I can tell you they are the best batteries I've ever used. I don't know what they do. It's something in the cell technology. I'm looking into it, trying to get a way to explain it to people. But
do they have Wi-Fi? The Wi-Fi thing for your phone? So
they have Bluetooth. You can Bluetooth through your battery, and I've done this, and I'm getting ready to make a video about this. When you call somebody for support at MillerTech, you will get an answer.
Nice.
And they can go through your Bluetooth. You give them, and they can fix a problem that's wrong with your battery.
Wow.
Over Wi-Fi. It's crazy. It's crazy.
No matter how far away they are?
Yeah, well, they can tell you from service. You give them access to your phone, and they can see everything that's on your app, because it comes with that app. And they see your app and everything that's going on in real time with your battery. That's awesome. And it's amazing technology. And you always know how much charge is in there. You never have to worry about, should I charge that battery tonight or tomorrow? You keep track of all that on there. How many amps, how many charge cycles that you've done on the battery, and they got a 10-year warranty, and your warranty doesn't start over it starts over if you have a problem with the battery. They don't keep you under the original warranty. So if you're 5 years in and you're covered by something that goes wrong with the battery, the new battery that they send you, if they have to replace it, it starts with a new 10-year warranty. So great guys. They make a lot of stuff for the Amish, and people don't know that, but they're an Amish company. And, you know, a lot of the buggies you see going around with the blinking lights, you know, the blinking stuff, that's Militech stuff running that stuff. And they're backup powers for their stores and stuff. And, but they're just a great company, and they're committed to quality. And I love them. I was really surprised, but I do. I love them. And that's enough. I could keep you here all day telling stories, man. Talking about fishing and telling stories. But
yeah. So I heard you did say you run an XTR. I imagine that's for your lakes, but what do you run for your rivers?
A PWR. I'm still running the Bonafide 127 for the rivers, but I'm getting ready to pick up a PWR and rig it out and see how it does. I'll probably have it at the Susky.
That's what I have. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
You know, I've been in them, and I really like the way they handled, and I like them really well. I was only in one for about 15 minutes and fell in love with it. I was in Matt Ball's. And so I'm pretty much sold on them. I just want to see. I want to get them in the river and see how they. Do you take yours in the river? That's the one you run.
Yeah. Yeah. I just need a stern mount. I have a bow mounted XI3, and I need to invest in a stern mount for that.
Right.
For the river.
And you like it really well?
Oh, I love it.
It handles good.
Yeah. I have the foot steering on it. And I didn't even have to change the rudder out or anything, because I know some people change the rudder out to make it heavier, but it steers fine.
Have you tried the Wizard foot steering yet?
That's what I have.
Is that what you got? Man, that stuff not money. Oh man,
it's money.
I love mine. Ain't that slick?
It changed my whole.
Barely touch
it. It's great. Hands free.
If you're trying to maneuver in current or something like that, it's quick and responsive. Man, I love it. I love mine.
Yeah. Sean has it on here.
PWR hopefully for the Susky this year, and hopefully I'll see you guys up there.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Yep.
We had a great evening talking to you.
Yeah, I had fun, dude. Had fun. Always had fun.
And I didn't see any more questions on here for you, so we'll let you slide out of here, Jody. We appreciate you coming on. Happy Father's Day to you, and we're looking forward to seeing you up here at the Susky.
All right, thanks, guys. Look forward to seeing you guys.
Thanks, Jody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whoops.
All right, Sean. Before we do head out of here, I don't know if we're supposed to be showing this yet, but some of you guys know that me and Sean are affiliated with Railblazer, and when they come out with new products, they send them to us to test out, kind of like what Jody does with some of his stuff. And I was real excited about this product that they're coming out with, just because I have a YouTube channel, and Sean started filming a lot this year too, and it's a different kind of an angle for us now. It's a lot higher up in the air, and I'm going to show it right now. It's the stealth camera boom from Railblazer. So instead of just, I'm going to take it out of the box here real quick. Instead of just the normal size, like this is the normal size of what you would buy for a camera boom, this one extends. So now we have twice the size of a stick, and this thing gets up enough that you can see both sides of the angler when they're fishing. So now I don't need two cameras, one on each side, to capture everything. But yeah, it extends here. It tightens up and loosens, so you can extend it and put it back in, and it's really
made
light.
Of carbon fiber. It seems like super sturdy.
Super sturdy, super light. And right now I have on my camera, so you can check that out right there. So I wanted to show that. They don't have them for sale yet. They're going to be coming out in the next couple weeks. But the name of it is the Stealth Camera Boom from Railblazer. So we're super excited to be testers for this, and you guys will see it on my YouTube channel real soon. my next videos, the difference it makes in the angle. I went out Friday with it on, and I came home and just watched some of my footage, and I was like, wow, you can see everything now. It's like top down. It's awesome. So for you guys out there that film your fishing adventures, or I guess you could do any kind of adventure with that thing. You just need the starports.
Yeah.
Fits right in the starport, and shit, you could put that on your boat, your four-wheeler, your whatever, and drive around with that thing. So, all right. You have anything, Sean?
No, I was just going to say thanks to everybody who came on and watched this Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, including my dad. And again, we appreciate everyone who tunes in and listens and, hits us up with questions and pictures. Just keep them coming. We love hearing from you guys, and we appreciate y'all.
Happy Father's Day.
All right, guys. Take it easy, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk of adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching The Noob Show with Matt Gibson, Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols, The Rusty Hook with John Rapp, The River Run with Adam Fraser Pross, May Contain Fishing with Daniel Woodcock, Chasing the 20s with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery, Friday Night Bites with Brian Schiller. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and always wear your PFD.